Welcome back to another Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the data to look at two totally different worlds dominating the news cycle right now. We've got the high-stakes, hyper-connected human world of international security, and on the flip side, the incredibly fragile natural world that's literally fighting for survival. Let's get right into it.
So, you might be wondering, what on earth connects international security to an endangered African monkey? Well, on the surface, absolutely nothing. But as we unpack today's information, a really powerful theme emerges. It's that constant, super delicate balancing act between our rapid human advancement and preserving the very worlds we inhabit. We're weighing the macro-level human battlefield against the quiet, urgent struggles of nature.
All right, here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. First up, national and regional security. Second, the cyber fraud epidemic. Third, a new primate discovery. And finally, shrinking wildlife sanctuary boundaries. Let's jump right in.
Starting off with Part 1, National and Regional Security, focusing on the 5th BIMSTEC National Security Advisors meeting.
When these national security advisors sat down recently in New Delhi to hash out strategies on terrorism, cyber threats, maritime security, and transnational crime, they weren't just talking about some small corner of the globe. To put this into perspective, the BIMSTEC Alliance represents roughly 1.7 billion people. That is 22% of the entire global population, and they're backed by a combined GDP of about $5 trillion US. So when a bloc with that kind of demographic and economic muscle coordinates on security, believe me, the whole world feels the impact.
Now, India's engagement in this massive alliance is driven by three core policy frameworks. You've got the Neighborhood First policy and the Act East policy, which you're probably already familiar with. But the third one is Mahasagar, which stands for Mutual and Holistic Advancement for Security and Growth Across Regions. It's a beautifully structured approach to making sure this vast 1.7 billion person region grows securely and, more importantly, cooperatively.
But hey, security isn't just about international borders and maritime defense, right? Sometimes the biggest threats are right in our pockets. Which brings us to Section 2, the cyber fraud epidemic, the invisible domestic threat. 10,178 crore rupees. Just let that sink in for a second. According to nationwide data from a mere 6-month window, just between January and June of 2026, this is the staggering financial loss reported due to cyber fraud in India. We're talking about over 12.71 lakh individual complaints pouring in over just half a year. It's an absolute hemorrhage of personal wealth. It's honestly mind-boggling. So, the crucial question here is, how exactly is all this money being stolen? Well, the data breaks down the major cyber threats driving this epidemic. We're seeing citizens falling victim to online investment scams that promise impossibly high returns, highly intimidating digital arrest scams, your classic phishing operations, deceptive loan app fraud, and some truly sophisticated impersonation tactics. It's basically a highly diversified portfolio of digital crime, and it's targeting the everyday person. And geographically, the data reveals a really grim, fascinating contrast. Uttar Pradesh actually recorded the highest volume of complaints nationwide, hitting 1.85 lakh cases. However, Maharashtra suffered the deepest financial hit by far, losing over 1,637 crore rupees. So you have massive volume in one state and extreme financial extraction in another. It just really underscores how adaptable and pervasive this threat truly is across different regions.
All right, let's pivot away from human crime for a moment. Section 3, a new primate discovery. A rare and much-needed win in the natural world.
Say hello to Colobus congoensis, or as it's locally known, the likweli. Researchers recently confirmed this as a brand new species of African monkey. It was discovered deep in the rainforests of the Democratic Republic of Congo, tucked right between the Lomami and Congo rivers. And to fully grasp how monumental this is, get this, this is only the 5th new monkey species discovered in all of Africa in the last 75 years. Actually, think about that, 75 years. This is a massive scientific milestone.
Visually, the likweli is just striking. It has this beautiful, glossy black coat that sharply contrasts with these vivid orange cream facial markings. It sports a long tail, and, perhaps the coolest part, it has this very distinctive roaring call that literally echoes through the DRC rainforests.
But, well, here comes the tragic irony. Almost the exact moment we discover this incredible creature, we realize it's already fighting for its survival. Researchers have actually recommended the likweli be fast-tracked to endangered status on the IUCN Red List.
Why? Because it has a highly restricted geographic range, a really small starting population, and faces the immediate threats of hunting and severe habitat loss. It's a pretty sobering reminder of exactly how fragile these ecosystems are right now.
And that whole theme of habitat loss brings us right back home for Section 4, Shrinking Wildlife Sanctuary Boundaries, taking a look at local environmental concerns.
Let's zoom in on the Mahananda Wildlife Sanctuary. Geographically, this is up in the Darjeeling district of West Bengal, nestled beautifully right in the Himalayan foothills between the Teesta and Mahananda rivers. It's got everything from riverine forests to dense mixed wet forests. But most importantly, it was set up as a safe haven to protect some of India's most majestic wildlife, specifically the Indian bison, also known as the gaur, and of course, the iconic Royal Bengal tiger.
However, recent data points to a major administrative shift. The eco-sensitive zone, which is essentially the protective buffer boundary around the core sanctuary, used to extend 5 kilometers outwards. Now, the West Bengal government has drastically reduced that down to just 1 kilometer. Looking at the raw data, it's a massive reduction in the formal buffer area that separates rapid human activity from this highly critical riverine ecosystem.
So over the last few minutes, we've bounced from regional security blocks covering 1.7 billion people to thousands of crores vanishing into the hands of digital criminals, straight to the miraculous discovery of a roaring monkey in the Congo, and finally to shrinking buffers around Bengal tigers. It's a lot, right? So I want to leave you with this question. How do we better balance our rapid digital and economic growth with the protection of both our citizens and our fragile natural ecosystems? I mean, it is arguably the defining challenge of our time. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking great questions, and I'll catch you next time.